Everyone, good evening to all. Just confirm me once that my voice is audible. Okay, sir, thank you for your response in the chat box. And today is the day one for this GST comprehensive course. Just give me a single second. I think we all are excited for this GST comprehensive course. And today is the day one of this GST comprehensive course, the dream come true. सर जो सपना हम सब ने देखा था आज से 1.5 महीने पहले, आज हम उसका डे वन स्टार्ट करने जा रहे हैं. वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट द डे वन ऑफ दिस जीएसटी कॉम्प्रहेंसिव कोर्स. सबसे पहले हम मां सरस्वती को याद करते हैं एंड विल स्टार्ट द सेशन. But before moving ahead, I just want to share with you certain rules of this GST comprehensive course. I think maximum number of participants has already received the study material. Those who have not received the study material, they will also receive in next 2 to 3 days. Okay, so stay assured you will definitely receive the study kit in a very good condition with notebook, pen, pencil, and highlight. So if it is possible to you, whenever you are joining this course or whenever you are seeing the videos, if possible for you, then keep that books with you, the notebook, the pen, pencil, and highlighting. Everything will be useful for this particular course. With that, if it is not possible for you to carry the same at the time of watching this live session or watching the recording, in that case also completely okay. Just keep your notebook with you so that if you found any important, any specific point, you can make note of that. Okay, for first 3 to 4 days we'll discuss very basic things in a very basic way, and I know all these things are there in your mind and you all know that particular type of things. But although we'll discuss these things, because we'll start our discussion from very basic and we'll take our discussion to a highest, or I can say to a next level. Okay, so we'll start with very basic things. The mode of communication of this session, this particular course, will be in English language. Certain example may be in Hindi language, so we'll convert the same into English for your reference. That is also not an issue. Okay, also just keep one copy notebook with you. And sir, most important thing, for next 45 days, make this course interactive, interesting, and this is completely in your hand. If you have any query, any question, any doubt, just ask the same in the chat box. Or you can also do one thing, you can say me, sir, unmute me, will provide you the opportunity to ask the question, but that will be at the end of the session. Okay, because in between if we'll open the mic, in that case there may be issue related to noise, so we'll take it at that point. Okay, so sir, today we'll discuss very basic things related to the GST, and also I request everyone, if possible for you, 8 to 9 p.m. join it live, because the numbers will be there on the screen. In that case, my confidence and my power, my enthusiasm will be on the next level. So I just request you, everyone, join it live all the 45 days. We'll enjoy a lot, we'll learn a lot, we'll take a lot of examples, a lot of practical case studies, and this is now your responsibility to utilize the maximum things. Yes, Mahendra sir, will conclude sharp at 9 p.m., 8:59, and will start sharp at 8. Today also we have started at 8:01, but from tomorrow we'll start sharp at 8. Okay, because time punctuality will be the most essential thing. And also one more important thing, today we have shared multiple reminder to you. Join now, join at 7:55. Now from tomorrow onwards, will not share the reminders. Okay, just link will be shared in the morning once and in the evening 7:30 once. Now this is your responsibility. You just need to check the WhatsApp group. Your link will be there. Join it sharp at 7:58. Okay, so that will be the best thing. Santosh sir will discuss through our books only, but for first 2 to 3 days will not take the reference of the books. We'll discuss certain basic things. Okay, so for first 2 to 3 days will not take the books. We have one PDF file, in that will make certain writings. and then after we'll directly start our discussion with the books on the GST law. Those who are watching on the YouTube platform without books, in that case also it is completely okay. It will be useful for you, not an issue. So, sir, the link will not be same. You will receive new link on every day. Okay, the link will not be same due to certain technical issues. Like link will change on every day. You will receive it in the morning once, and also you will receive it in the evening. Okay, so let's start our discussion with very basic questions, with very basic things, and then after we'll take our discussion on the next level. Sir, you all are ready? Just show your excitement for the next 45 days for this GST comprehensive course, because this will be the project to master you and master me. So let's start this great event with a full of josh, full of environment, full of enthusiasm. Yes, yes. Now, sir, there are two types of taxes. I am going to discuss very basic things. I know multiple chartered accountants are there, multiple old GST practitioners, GST professionals are there, and I am going to start with very basic questions. But sir, I request just bear with me for 2 to 3 days with basic things. After 2 to 3 days, this is my assurance to you. Our discussion will be on the next level. Okay, so we'll start with basics. There are two types of taxation. We'll start with the presentation as well, but because there आप केवल मेरा face देख लो, that will also be good, I think. So yes sir, there are total two types of taxes are there. One is direct tax, another is indirect taxation. So first we'll just try to understand the basic difference between direct taxation and the indirect taxation. Okay, as we all know, when a tax is imposed on directly on income, my income is 8 lakh rupees, 10 lakh rupees, 12 lakh rupees, 15 lakh rupees, and government is charging a direct tax on my income, that is direct tax. And one of the example is my income tax, you can say. And this is the only one tax which is there in direct taxation regime. Another, if there will be a tax which is indirectly imposing on me, suppose I am going to buy one pen from the market. In such a situation, directly I need not to pay any taxes. But when I am paying 1000 rupees in that for that pen, the tax is inclusive. Am I right? As a end consumer, I am not a GST registered person. I am not registered under any taxation regime. I have to bear the liability, the taxation mechanism that is called as indirect taxation, which will be indirectly imposed on the taxpayer. Am I right? So, in this particular course, we'll discuss the portion of indirect taxation, and in the portion of indirect taxation, we'll discuss the goods and services tax 2017. Now, sir, you have used one line, goods and services tax 2017. That means this tax, this GST, has been implemented from 2017, July 2017. And on that day, July 2017, this has created ample of opportunities for all of us. That is called as GST. Sachin Jain is here only and only due to this GST, I can say. Okay. So this GST has been introduced on 1st of July 2017. Now, sir, usse pehle, before that, there were certain taxation regime. But before moving to that regime, or before starting our discussion on this GST, first we'll try to understand that when the government is saying that will charge certain taxes indirectly, then why they are charging that indirect taxation, or what type of indirect taxation will be there. So as a consumer, as a taxpayer, there may be chances that I will take the services from the market. Suppose I require certain consultancy, I require certain technical consultancy, I require certain labor services, that will be the element of services. Second, there may be chances I am going to buy something from the market, pen, mobile phone, vehicle, that may be chances. So particular person, an individual, may buy goods, may buy services from the market, and this indirect taxation will be charged indirectly. So this may be charged in case of goods, in case of services. Very basic. And sir, believe me, these basics will play a very important role at the time of our discussion of the advanced level. Whatever example I am taking in this particular course in the first 2 to 3 days will prove on the last 43rd, 44th, 45th day that that discussion was very essential, very required. Okay. So, goods and services. Before GST regime, there were certain taxes, you can say VAT, value added tax, there were certain excise tax, there were certain service tax, and a lot of taxation were there. Okay, that means in that case, just take one example, sir, just take one example. When I am buying a particular pen from the market, in that case the supplier will charge VAT at that time because it is a value added tax or central sales tax, you can say CST. Now this pen ऐसा तो है नहीं ऊपर से टपका है, there is an element of manufacturing. So at the time of manufacturing of that pen, they were charged excise duty, or you can say excise. Or suppose in the manufacturing of that pen there is element of service, certain services, that means they have taken certain technical services, certain software developer services, multiple services are required. So in that case there may be element of service. So for selling a particular product, there may be multiple taxation. You can say VAT, central sales tax, there may be excise, there may be services tax. So multiple taxation were there. Now, when multiple taxation were there at that time, multiple return filing, multiple compliances, multiple litigations, a lot of things were there. Now, government think that sir, why not? Why not? We should go for a single tax, and that single tax is the base of, you can say, GST. That single tax was the reason of the GST. Just give me a single second. Now, so government has introduced this GST. GST means goods and services tax. That means this tax will be applicable in case of goods, in case of services. Now, what do you mean by this GST? This is the first question. So this is the indirect taxation. This will be applicable on the goods as well as services. So whenever there will be a sale of goods, or I can say whenever there will be a supply of goods or supply of services, in that case there will be a question of GST only. Now there is no any applicability of your VAT, of your service tax, of your excise. Only one single taxation is there. Now why GST? Because earlier there were multiple taxation were there. I need to follow the VAT, the excise, the service tax, multiple compliances, multiple reduction, or multiple litigations. To reduce all these things, government has come up with the goods and services tax. Now, there may be one issue, one biggest issue. There is VAT, there is service tax, there is excise, and for manufacturing or for sale of this particular product, there will be an involvement of excise, there will be an involvement of VAT, there will be an involvement of service tax. Three taxes are there for this particular pen supply. So in that case, जब मेरा वेट लगा, सर्विस टैक्स लगा, एक्साइज लगा, in that case I need to file multiple returns. And for purchasing these services, for purchasing the material, for the manufacturing, there may be certain inward supply. So what about the input tax credit? So that is what is the biggest issue. Hence government has come up with the GST, you can say goods and services tax. Now just give me a single second, we'll directly discuss through this booklet. Sir, all the 45 days, you all will see this type of PDF file here. This is my notebook working paid, you can say, and I will also provide you this working paid for your reference material. Okay, because I will write certain examples, certain things on this working paid and will provide you the same for your future reference. Now, let's start our discussion with this GST, goods and services tax. I think one question is okay for all of you, that is what GST and why GST. Okay, now we'll try to understand certain elements of this GST in our basic session. That is, on today and tomorrow, we'll try to understand various elements of this GST. Then after, we'll directly start our discussion on various provisions and on various sections of the GST. Now, sir, try to understand each and everything is very relevant, very important. And I again suggesting you all that, sir, you all should join this session live only, because a lot of interaction will be there, a lot of question and answers will be there, a lot of examples will be there, and that will be helpful for all of us. Okay, now, sir, government has implemented this GST, that is goods and services tax, and government said that, sir, now I am sharing with you each and everything. Now, I am sharing with you each and everything with logics only. Okay. So just try to understand the logics. Government said that whenever there will be a supply of goods or services, okay, whenever there will be a supply, GST will be there. Okay. That means we will charge GST whenever there will be a supply. So just take one example. Sachin, when Sachin is providing the training classes, these training classes, you can say, when Sachin is providing these training classes and charging suppose a fees of 5,000 rupees, suppose the GST rate is 18% on that particular supply. Sir, I will give you certain open questions as well. अभी ये मान करके चलना है in this particular course that you have no idea about supply, no idea about rate of GST, no idea about anything in GST. We all are blank. Okay. So this GST, why GST? What GST already done? Now the question is that, just one example, when Sachin is providing any training services to the participants, in that case government has said that whenever there will be a supply, whether it will be for goods or services, one tax will be applicable, that is called as GST. So Mr. Sachin, you are providing the training services, so yes, GST will be applicable. मैंने बोला okay sir, yes, GST will be applicable. So the fees is 5,000 rupees and the rate of GST is 18%. So the rate of GST is 18%, just for an example. Okay. So the GST amount is 900 rupees, just for an example. अभी यही मान करके चलना है, this rate has been decided by the government in case of training services 18%. Now, मैंने बोला yes, I am ready to pay the tax at the rate of 18% on that 5,000 rupees. But sir, for providing these services to my participants, there is requirement of infrastructure, or you can say there is requirement of one laptop, one camera, one certain website, certain online tools, certain services from various software developers. So sir, suppose I have 100 participants multiplied by 5,000, and you can say 5 lakh rupees. GST amount is 18%, so the amount is 90,000 rupees. Okay. For providing these services, I have bought one laptop, I have taken the services of developer, I have bought one specific software, I have taken the services of certain cloud softwares. So मैंने government को बोला, sir, I have invested 2 lakh rupees for this specific purpose. I have invested 2 lakh rupees for this specific purpose. And when I bought these things, or when I have taken the services from the developer, from the software designer, in that case, I have also paid GST, because my software developer, my designer has also charged GST from me. So I have already paid GST at the rate of 18% on that 2 lakh rupees. You can say 36,000 rupees. So मैंने government को बोला, sir, when I am providing the services and I am taking the amount from my participants, I am ready to pay the tax to you. But the point is that when I taken these services from someone else and someone else has already charged GST on me for these 2 lakh rupees, person has charged that 2 lakh rupees from the GST on 2 lakh rupees from me, that person has already paid the taxes to you. So if you will collect the tax from me on complete 5 lakh rupees, in that case, did you think that it will be a double taxation? You are charging the tax on 5 lakh rupees as well as I have already paid to my supplier the tax on 2 lakh rupees and he has already deposited the same with you. Government employee, yes, Sachin, you are completely right. So what we do will provide you the benefit, will provide you the benefit of the tax which you have already paid to your supplier because we have already received the same. So government said that yes, Mr. Sachin, as you have already paid 90,000 tax as the GST which will be there on your outward supply is 90,000, and as you have already paid 36,000 taxes, in such a scenario, Mr. Sachin, just pay us the remaining amount, that is 44,000 rupees. Am I right? Now, through this example, have you observed one specific thing? The very basic element which I want to share with you. That is, sir, 90,000 I am charging the tax from my participants. And just for an example, my all participants are unregistered person. Or my all participants, suppose, are registered person, but they are using it, okay, not in the course or furtherance of business, they are just using it, and my maximum number of participants are unregistered person. In such a scenario, when I will prepare the invoice, that is 5,000 plus GST, am I right? I will prepare the invoice 5,000 plus GST, you can say 900 rupees. So my invoice value will be 5,900 rupees. I will collect 900 rupees from my participants. Okay. I will collect 900 rupees from my participants and I will pay the same to the government. But as my all the participants are unregistered person, they are not going to take any benefit of the tax which has been charged by me. As in this example, I have already taken the benefit of the tax which has been charged by my supplier on that 2 lakh rupees. That is 36,000. But now my participants are unregistered. So I am directly charging 5,900 rupees and they are not going to take any benefit of 900 rupees. But suppose if they register, GST registered, in such a scenario, they will claim the tax credit for 900 rupees. And suppose they are providing the further services, in that case, they will use that 900 rupees. And suppose when they provided the services to a particular person and that person is unregistered person, then the ITC, that is the tax which is charged by the supplier, is not be available as a benefit for that particular person. That means conclusively we can say the burden of the indirect taxation will be shifted to the end consumer. Am I right, sir? Because as I am charging 900 rupees GST and my participants are unregistered person, that means that person is the end consumer. That person is not going to make any further supply. So that person has to bear the GST. इसीलिए, hence we are saying that this GST is be charged from the end consumer. Hence, this is a destination based taxation. This is a destination based taxation. Sir, this is just one example. Now, for next 45 days, whenever we'll discuss a single concept, we'll discuss first with example, and then after we'll share with you the reference of the section, reference of the provision, reference of the reason, so that it will be there in your brain. Why? This is a destination based taxation. Sir, everyone is okay with me? If anyone has any question, any doubt, any query, you are free to raise the same in the chat box. Chat box is here for you and I am here for you. Now, yes. So this is a destination based system or destination based taxation. Now, have you observed one important thing? Have you observed one very important thing? That is, sir, when I'm saying that 5,000 multiplied by 100, 5 lakh rupees, 18% is GST, 90,000 is tax, and I have taken the services or certain material for this particular supply from my supplier, and that person is charged GST from me. That is 36,000 rupees. In such a scenario, I just need to pay 54,000 rupees. That 36 has been adjusted. Now, who will maintain the complete accountability, who will maintain the complete balances, who will maintain the complete data related to the sales, related to the purchase. So for that purpose, because as we all know, for filing the income tax return, we have an income tax portal for handling the complete data, for handling the data related to sales, for handling the data related to purchase. Government has also developed one specific portal that is called as GSTN common portal, and on that portal all the data will be maintained. Now, there are total two elements. One is GST law, another is GSTN common portal. Because whenever government is going to implement a particular taxation system, they have to introduce one law as well. So there are total two elements. One is GST law, another is GSTN common portal. Why common portal is required? Whatever has been written in the GST law, उस सबको फेस पे उतारने के लिए there is requirement of the common portal. To maintain the data, to maintain the accountability, to maintain the things, there is requirement of the GSTN common portal. Hence this GSTN common portal is here. Sir, in 60 to 70% cases there is conflicts. We'll discuss the reason with the sections, with the provisions, and certain things which is there on the GSTN common portal. Okay. And we'll also discuss the probable solution and the things which we need to keep in our mind to protect the litigations. Okay. So in this particular course, we'll try to guide you certain things in case of conflicts between the portal and between the GST law, and the things which we need to take care, because the end purpose of all of us is just one: to provide the best consultancy services to our client, to provide the best return filing, compliance handling, and expert advisory to our client. Yes, Venu sir, definitely. So now GST law and GST portal is there. And now, to maintain the accountability, to maintain the return filing, to handling the compliances, there is a specific portal that is called as GSTN common portal is here. Now, sir, just try to understand certain specific elements. Okay. And through this discussion, I just want to give you the idea of section number 2 of CGST Act, that is various definitions. If I will directly give you the definition and list of definitions, in that case it will be quite difficult for everyone to learn the definitions, but we'll share with you certain practical examples, implications, so that you can easily recall the same and you can easily store the same in your brain. Okay. And very soon, in next 3 to 4 days, we'll start our discussion on certain colorful charts as well. Every day we'll discuss on one or two colorful charts for your brain. Now, as in our initial example, I am saying that I am making a supply of 500 rupees. That means 5,000 multiplied by 100 participants, that is 5 lakh rupees. I have made a supply of the course, that is 5 lakh rupees. This course I am providing to someone else, to my participants. So that is my outward supply. Am I right? Whenever the taxpayer whenever the taxpayer is going to provide any services or sell any goods or supply any goods in such a scenario, that will be outward supply. For providing that supply or for earning that 5 lakh rupees through the course fees, there is requirement of investment on the system, on the certain developer related services, certain cloud based services, certain software related services. I have taken these services for providing the services to my participants. I have taken, that is my inward supply, that 2 lakh rupees which I have given, that is my inward supply. Just try to understand, when I am charging 5 lakh rupees from my participants and I am also charging GST on that at the rate of 18%, you can say 90,000 rupees. So when I am charging the GST on my outward supply, that will be called as my output tax. A particular tax which has been charged on the outward supply will be called as output tax. Next, I think you all know that when I have taken certain inward supply for providing the outward supply, that is the laptop, that is the software, that is the designing inward supply, I have already paid a certain tax on that inward supply, that is called as, that tax is on my inward supply. So that is called as my input tax. That is called as my input tax credit. So total two type of supplies there. One is outward supply, another is inward supply. The tax which is charged on the outward supply will be my output tax, and the tax which is charged on my inward supply is my input tax. Now try to understand, sir, this is my outward supply, this is my inward supply. Okay. In this example, my outward supply is 5 lakh rupees. The tax on 5 lakh rupees is 90,000 rupees. Okay. And I have taken certain inward supply, that is 2 lakh rupees. The tax on 2 lakh rupees is 36,000 rupees. Now, I have collected the tax from my participants, that is 90,000 rupees. And I have paid the tax to my supplier, that is 30,000 only. That means the balance amount I have to pay with the government. Am I right? I have to pay with the government, that is 54,000 rupees. Now, suppose I have started a new business and I have provided the 5 lakh rupees supply in the first month itself, and there is an inward supply of 2 lakh rupees. The tax charged on that 2 lakh rupees is 36,000 rupees. So 54,000 rupees, 54,000 rupees I have to pay with the government. So in that case, sir, I have to pay that amount through the cash or through the bank transaction. Okay. And when I'm paying the amount to the government, government also has to maintain the data with them. Am I right? And for maintaining the data, they are saying that we have a GSTN common portal. On that GSTN common portal, we'll maintain the data. Yes, everything will be maintained on GSTN common portal, or there is requirement of certain segments. Because if everything will be stored on one page, in that case, it will be quite difficult. As when we are maintaining the accounting in any accounting software, we are creating multiple ledgers, multiple groups, multiple heads, multiple items, everything we are doing. Okay. That means multiple heads, multiple inventory, multiple ledgers are there. So when government has a lot of things on the GST and common portal, they are not supposed to maintain the same on a single page. Hence, they have developed the mechanism. And in this given example, 90,000 is the tax on the outward supply, 36 the tax on the inward supply. So balance 54,000 is payable, and the same should be payable through the cash. So to maintain the accountability, to maintain the dates, to maintain the complete accurate information, government has developed the one ledger that is called as cash ledger. I think everyone is getting the purpose of each and every field which is there on GSTN common portal with logics. And this is my assurance to you. After this particular course, each and every single word which is mentioned on GSTN common portal, the logic will be there on your brain. Because these are the very basic logic: case ledger, credit ledger, liability ledger. You all know, I know, but I just want to link it with logics, and the complex things which is there on GSTN common portal will also give the logics for that. Now, this cash ledger is there. In this cash ledger, you have to maintain the data related to the cash deposited by the taxpayer. So this is a separate segment on GSTN common portal. Now, just think. Second example. Just take the second example. In that example, suppose my outward supply is 5 lakh rupees, taxation is 90,000 rupees. In that month, 2 lakh rupees, 36,000, 54,000 is my payable. But suppose I am an existing entity and during the past period, my outward supply was less, but I have certain excess inward supply for setup, for multiple things. Okay. So in that case, I have a suppose, just try to understand the same with one example. Suppose during the previous month, I have an outward supply of 1 lakh rupees and I have paid GST at the rate of 18%, that is 18,000 rupees. And during that month, I have bought certain goods and services for this particular supply, suppose 10 lakh rupees. These are just an example, okay? And I have already paid a tax on 1 lakh 80,000 rupees. Tax of 1 lakh 80,000 rupees. That means in that particular month, there were excess there were excess balance available because I have to pay tax on my outward supply only 18,000 rupees, but during that month I have taken the services of 10 lakh rupees, and on that the 18% GST has been charged by my supplier, so 1 lakh 80,000 is there, my input tax credit. Now try to understand, sir. 18,000 I have to pay with the government, but I have already paid 1 lakh 80,000 rupees. That means I have assets of 1 lakh 60,000. So how government is going to record that assets on the GSTN common portal? So for that purpose, they have developed one ledger, and that ledger is called as credit. That ledger they have called as the credit ledger. When the outward supply is less with comparison to the input tax credit, in that case, there will be excess balance and which should be transferred to the electronic credit ledger. Two ledgers we have done. One is cash ledger, another is credit ledger, and we have added one word, that is electronic. Why electronic? Because these are maintained on the e-portal. These are not manual. These are not physical. These are maintained on the common portal on the electronic platform. Hence, these credit ledger and cash ledger are called as electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger. Am I right? Now, cash credit is done. There may be one probability. There may be one probability, but we'll discuss on that probability after a particular discussion on a specific segment. So let's start our discussion now. Sir, you all are enjoying the session. 40 minutes already done on YouTube, on Zoom. Everyone is enjoying. ऐसा चलता रहा तो हम लोग 45 डेज निकाल लेंगे पक्का. Sir, just I want that josh till the last session. Bas. That is my demand from your side. Okay. Now, when I am saying this is my outward supply, I am providing the data related to my output supply. This is my output tax. This is my inward supply, and this is my input tax on my outward supply, on my input tax. Sir, how the government will get the data related to your outward supply and inward supply? Because you are saying that will transfer the amount to electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger. How? How government will get the data? So for that purpose, for getting the data from the taxpayer, government has come up with the mechanism of return filing. Government has come up with the mechanism of return filing. What do you mean by return? So government is saying that, dear taxpayer, when you are making the outward supply, when you are receiving certain input tax credit inward supply, so you need to provide the detail to us. So basically, there are two types of supply. We can say one is outward supply when the taxpayer is making the sales in the market, or I can say when the taxpayer is making the supply in the market, or another is when the taxpayer is receiving the goods or services for business purpose. So, as there are two types of supplies there, one is outward, another is inward. So government is saying that you have to file the return for your outward supply, for your inward supply. So government is saying one return is for your outward supply and second return for your inward supply. Okay. Now, sir, in this particular course, we'll also share the logics of various returns under GST, not only 3B and 1. Discuss the logic of multiple returns which is available on GSTN common portal. So government, अभी मैं रिटर्न के नाम आपको नहीं शेयर कर रहा हूं. I am not going to share the names of the return. That will discuss in our tomorrow session. Now just you need to keep in your mind, there is one return for your outward supply, another return for your inward supply. I know very well that you all are filing the returns since last 5 years. You know everything. But sir, now in this particular course, just assume that we have no idea of anything related to GST, so that we all can get the logics. Okay. Now, government is saying that you have to submit the details related to your outward supply, related to your inward supply. Did you think that the taxpayer will file everything very perfectly? Did you think? Did you think that will report the 100% of the sales purely? Will report the 100% input tax credit? There may be chances. Yes, sir, since last 7 years. Sorry. So, yes, there may be chances of certain issues in GST. There may be chances of certain issues in GST. There may be chances that the taxpayer will report certain mistakes while reporting the GST returns on common portal. There may be chances that the taxpayer is going to make certain mistakes while handling the compliances. There may be chances that the taxpayer may involve in certain things which is not as per the law. There may be chances. Okay? These are example. So government is saying in that situation, we are also going to create certain liability, or we are also going to impose certain liability on the taxpayer. If the taxpayer is not going to report the perfect data on portal, if the taxpayer is going to upload the wrong data or reported the less sales or claim the excess input tax credit, then we may create certain liability, we may impose certain liability on the taxpayer, and that liability will be reflected in the electronic credit ledger. And for that purpose, government has created one specific ledger that is called as electronic credit liability ledger. Electronic liability ledger. So on GSTN common portal, there are total three types of ledgers are available. One is cash ledger, another is credit ledger, and third one is your liability ledger. These three ledgers are available on the GSTN common portal. Cash ledger, whenever the taxpayer is going to deposit the cash, this ledger will be there. Whenever the taxpayer has an excess balance of input tax credit with comparison to output, in that case, that excess balance will be transferred to credit ledger. And whenever there will be liability created by the departmental authority, the same will be created and the same will be reflected in the electronic liability ledger. Now, as we are saying that the taxpayer is going to make the outward supply. The taxpayer is going to make the outward supply. Just for an example, just for an example, take one another example. There is one person who is going to manufacture the lights. In this example, just take the example of manufacturer of lights, various lights. That person is a manufacturer of electronic lights, and that person is supplying that lights in the market. From outward supply perspective, suppose for the Feb 2024 month, 25 month, for Feb 2025 month, suppose for Feb 2025 month, suppose that person has made a sales of 10 lakh rupees, just for an example, and rate of GST is 18%. And suppose the price of one light is 1 lakh rupees. The price of one light is 1 lakh rupees. That means that person has made the sales to 10 persons. 1 lakh multiplied by 10, that is 10 lights, that is 10 lakh rupees. So that person has made the sales of 1 lakh, that is 10 lights or 10 persons, different persons. Now, in that particular example, that person, when that person is going to make the supply of that light, that person has to generate the invoice. Am I right? Because whenever we are buying something, then also we are demanding the invoice. So when the taxpayer is going to make the supply of that light, the taxpayer is going to issue the invoice. Now, on that invoice, the taxpayer is going to show that the light price is 1 lakh rupees, the rate of GST is 18%. So tax amount is 18,000 rupees, and the total price is 1 lakh 18,000. The price of light is 1 lakh rupees. The price of light is 1 lakh rupees, and GST amount is 18,000. So the final price is 1 lakh 18,000 rupees. So this 1 lakh rupees on which the tax is going to be charged, that is called as my taxable value. A particular value on which the tax is going to be charged. That means the taxpayer is just going to take that 1 lakh rupees, that 18,000 will be shared with the government. Am I right? Through the GSTN common portal by filing the various returns. So in the invoice, that person is going to show the 1 lakh rupees as a taxable value. That means the amount on which the GST has been charged, the tax amount, that is 18,000 rupees, which has been calculated through the rate which has been applied on the taxable value, and the taxable value plus the GST amount will come to your invoice value. That means the total value which has been charged from the buyer. Am I right? So in that invoice, that person is going to show 1 lakh rupees as taxable value, 18%, 1 lakh 18,000 rupees. That person is registered in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. That person is registered in Jodhpur, Rajasthan, and the buyer is at Gujarat. The buyer is at Gujarat, and the supplier is at Jodhpur, Rajasthan. So in such a scenario, that supplier has to supply that lights to the buyer, that is at Gujarat. So that person is going to properly pack that light एकदम properly, जैसे हमारे study material आए थे. I think those who have received the books, all the books are properly packed. Okay, provide your genuine feedback so that we can connect with our team who is going to be handle the packing. If you have any concern with our packing, then also you can comment. Okay, although we'll take your feedbacks at the last 5 minutes. Today we have certain feedbacks. Okay, so that person, supplier is in Rajasthan, buyer is at Gujarat. Okay. So properly packed line with invoice. Invoice is required. Now, sir, on GSTN common portal, when I am filing my return, and as we have already covered, to show the outward supply, there is requirement to file a specific return in which will show the outward supply. So when you are showing that outward supply, ऐसा तो है नहीं कि आप physically उस light को show करोगे. Is it not possible to show the light physically? You are just going to upload the invoice. And when you have made that supply to a buyer, and on the basis of your invoice, 1 lakh 18,000, that 18,000 input is going to be transferred to your buyer. Am I right? So government has one doubt that, sir, there may be chances to transfer the input tax credit. Certain taxpayer is not going to sell the product, they are just going to issue the invoice, and they are just going to issue the invoice and they are going to transfer the input tax credit to someone else without supply of goods. In that case, there may be chances of the paper transaction. That means only the transaction on the pen and paper, not in actual. So for that purpose, government has come up with the concept of e-way bill. Again, this e-way bill is your electronic way bill. In this e-way bill, government is demanding that, sir, when Mr. Supplier is going to supply a particular product, supplier has to generate one e-way bill. In that e-way bill, that supplier has to provide the details related to the transporter through which the supplier is going to make the supply to the buyer, the distance, the transporter ID, so that in future that same can be easily traced. And now, for your information, government has also linked that e-way bill with the various toll, so that they can track that the goods has been actually delivered or not. So whenever there will be a supply, one document is your invoice, another document is your e-way bill. One more concept is there, that is called as e-invoice, that we'll discuss in our next session. But the basic documents in case of supply is your invoice plus e-way bill. So the reason of this example, the purpose of this example is to only guide you the term e-way bill and the reason and the logics of the e-way bill. So, in this particular session, sir, we have started our discussion from a very basic thing, that is direct taxation as well as the indirect taxation. We have covered, in case of indirect taxation, that GST. We have also covered why GST, what do you mean by the GST. We have also covered the point, that is GST and the GST common portal, because law is there to follow that law, to upload the data, to maintain the accountability, to maintain the details. There is requirement of one specific portal, that is called as GST common portal. With that, we have covered that whenever a person who is going to make the supply, that person is going to make the supply as an outward supply, and a tax which is called as the output tax, and on the inward supply, for providing that outward supply, there may be chances of input tax. And on the basis of that, we have covered three types of ledger. One is cash ledger, another is credit ledger, and third one is liability ledger. When the departmental authority is going to raise any liability, that will be called as the liability ledger. Okay, and we have covered when the supplier is going to make the supply to the buyer. In that case, invoice is required. With that, to prove regarding the delivery, there is a e-way bill concept is there, and for e-way bill, there is a separate website is available for generation of the e-way bill. Although, sir, in this particular course, will show you the e-way bill, the e-invoice, the GSTN common portal as well. Okay, so this is the discussion for our today's session. Now, so just wait for tomorrow's session, because tomorrow we'll discuss on the forward as well as reverse charge, composition as well as regular. Okay, so in that case, we'll discuss that e-way bill related point. So there is requirement of certain suspense as well. Sir, why there is a requirement of the goods delivery? Because if government is not going to focus on this very specific element related to the delivery, in such a scenario, there may be a chances of multiple paper transaction. Whenever a person has the excess balance of electronic credit ledger, in that case, the person is going to pass the input tax credit. So there will be a creation of the chain for the paper transaction, fake invoicing, and when there will be no any goods In such a scenario, this will affect the manufacturing industry, this will affect the trading industry, and only transfer of input tax credit, this will directly affect the economy. That is what is the logic, reason that there is requirement of delivery. Is that okay, Sunil sir? I request everyone, if you have any query, any question related to the discussion, please ask the questions. And when I am sharing with you a concept, a logic, a provision, in that case, you are free to ask the reason. But whenever I'm going to ask that, sir, this concept is okay, at that time, this is also your responsibility to comment in the chat box. Sir, in our tomorrow session, we'll discuss the invoice, we'll discuss the reverse charge mechanism, forward charge mechanism, we'll discuss the composition dealer, the regular taxpayer, and various elements of the GSTN common portal. Sir, credit ledger and liability ledger. Credit ledger is altogether different with the liability ledger. In case of credit ledger, this is just a ledger which is going to maintain the detailing related to your outward supply, related to your inward supply. Suppose your outward supply is 10 lakh rupees, the GST charged on 10 lakh rupees is 1 lakh 80,000 rupees. In your inward supply, your supplier has already charged a GST of 1 lakh rupees. Then this electronic credit ledger is going to maintain the details, 1 lakh 80,000 tax on outward supply, 1 lakh credit is available, balance should be paid through the cash, so the liability will be created in the cash ledger. That is what is the role of credit ledger. In case of liability ledger, if there will be any mistake, issue, in that case the departmental authority is going to create the liability. Suppose you have not followed any compliances, or you have filed the incorrect return, or you have provided any misleading information to the government, in that case they will create the liability. Those who are watching on the YouTube, I request, sir, you can like the video. Yes, sir, any doubt? Yes, imposed by the department only. Liability ledger imposed by the department only. Okay, Rajkumar sir will try to provide you the detailings after 2 to 3 days. That will do. When we'll start our topic wise discussion, at that time, definitely will provide you the topic name. Kamlesh sir, this is day one only. So please give me some time. We'll definitely share with you the practical things, that how you can adjust the amount on the common portal. Okay. Mahendra sir, in that case, you have to take the reference of certain supporting documents. You have to keep that document taken from your buyer on the letterhead regarding the receipt voucher. You can take from that particular person, and you can take the sign and the acknowledgement on the back page of that receipt. That is what is the solution we have. We can go for that. Yes, sir. So, whatever will be your feedback for our today's session, because this session is our first session, so I request everyone, whatever will be your feedback, just put it in the chat box. Sir, for section 128A amnesty scheme, we'll provide you one separate class. Okay, we'll activate the same in your ID, because as those who have registered this course with the books, as our promise, that will provide you the access to a specific course on drafting, will provide you the access to a specific course on amnesty scheme, and will provide you access to our annual subscription plan. So all these things will be activated in your ID by tomorrow late night. Okay, so check it on 12th. Okay, so the same will be enabled. Our team is working on that. We'll share the login ID and password on your registered mail ID, as well as we'll try to share it on your WhatsApp number, so that you can access all these things. Okay, those who are watching on the YouTube, that is completely okay. You can watch it. Okay, and thank you, sir, for your comments in the chat box. And sir, I request, if you have any query post the session, you can put it in our WhatsApp group, because that WhatsApp group is now only for the queries. Don't post anything unnecessary. You can post anything related to your queries. Otherwise, in the morning, we'll send the link for joining, and in the evening also we'll send the link. Again, I am requesting, if You are watching this session without books, it is completely okay. But if it is possible to you, if it is possible for you to buy the books, in that case it will be great for all of you. If it is possible to invest 3,400, then it will be great for all of you. Yes, and I request everyone, because we have around 200 participants. So I request everyone, if it is possible for you, then please share the information about this GST comprehensive course with your other professional friends, other professional groups. This is my promise to you. After end of this course or this specific event, every one of your friend will give you a thanks message. This is my assurance to you, because they can join on YouTube, they can join through the Zoom platform as well. Will make my 1000% efforts. Now this is your responsibility. So if it is possible for you to suggest your professional friends to join this course, then please do it. It will be a great help for you, for me as well, because the purpose of this course is just only one: to provide you the complete details related to the GST, the expert knowledge. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable comments. From tomorrow onwards, we'll conclude the session sharp at 9. Okay, and we'll start the session at 8 only. Anyone wants to buy the book, then I'm sharing the contact detail. Just message on this number. We'll share the link. 9829760308. You can WhatsApp on this number. We'll share the QR code, because now we are not going to share anything on the group related to QR code, because others, those who have already registered, it will create a burden on them. Okay. So it will be a repeating message. So I request, if anyone wants to buy the QR, buy the books, then it's on this number. Okay. So thank you. We'll meet tomorrow sharp at 8 p.m. But thank you once again. Bye bye. Take care. Good night.